They ask me who I am. Yeah. They ask me who I am. I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. They ask me where I'm from. I told them you can pick a side. We worldwide, I'm an Israelite. Whether through scripts or history, no, I can show you. In the army of Yahuwah, oh boy, I'm a soldier. Yeah, they ask me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. When I say Israelite, they say you Jewish. Look, don't be foolish, come get a dose of this mental renewing. See how we brew it, it's just different. Like, for instance, first thing to know, brother, it's a culture, no religion. Talking the bloodline, they say we Jacob children. And yeah, that's a factor, but what really matter, how we living? Given that we gotta get Beseda, that mean in order. For that we got that Torah, some brothers we got Basora. Of course, and some don't believe, but that don't matter today. I ain't tryna throw no shade, as long as we all stay in the way. That 613, we coolin' like palm trees, a couple of that, yeah, you ain't a fam, know what I mean? They ask me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. They ask me where I'm from, I told them you can pick a side. We worldwide, I'm an Israelite. Whether through scripts or history, no, I can show you. In the army of Yahuwah, oh boy, I'm a soldier. Yeah, they ask me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. He said that we the light, got no choice but to shine. By the sweat of your brow, now you see why we grind. How we do, and we move to keep that ruach in our midst. When we eat, I got a list. Wanna build, break out them scripts. We don't hate and we don't diss. We ain't worried about another. He called us his firstborn. You get called us big brother. Look deeper and you'll discover. In your movies and shows, truth been exposed. What you know about those captured and sold. The Igbo and the Ashanti. Check out your history, never lost. Ain't gotta find me. Right where we meant to be, rebellion. Led to expulsion, repentance, fix that. Yeah, I gotta get back. I can call them big facts. They ask me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. They ask me where I'm from, I told them you can pick a side. We worldwide, I'm an Israelite. Whether through scripts or history, no, I can show you. In the army of Yahuwah, oh boy, I'm a soldier. Yeah, they ask me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite.
Hey, we ain't saying this our salvation or nothing, but the Most High just put his name on it, so we represent. All praise. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom to everyone that is tuning in or tuning back in. ראשית, אני רוצה לתת כבוד ושבח ליהוה, האל העליון, אלוהי אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. First, we want to give honor and praise to the Most High Power. Heal it that causes the be to exist, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Welcome. Can you all hear me? How's everyone?
Loud and clear. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Yes, we can.
So we have an interesting topic today. Probably, I don't know if it's light. I don't know if it's too light. I don't know if it's just right, but we're going to find out today. Feels weird to be on Eastern time now. I'm used to it being 7 o'clock my time. Now it's 8. I was like, wait a minute. I'm late. But now it's 8 o'clock here, 7 o'clock where I was from.
It's all good.
All right. So, title of the show is Time is of the Essence. Time is of the Essence. It's a broad title, but pertaining to what the topics are, I think it's very important that we kind of speak on these matters and really pinpoint how important time is or isn't. So before we get started, what is there anything you all what comes to mind when you think of time is of the essence? What comes to mind when you think of time is of the essence?
That personally for me right now, that hits home, especially just losing, like I said, one of my best friends. Time is of the essence. I think it's very important that we live every minute that the Most High give us, to its fullest potential. We're human, we're gonna get down, we're gonna do whatever, but time is definitely of the essence. Very important.
My condolences to you and the family
Damn.
of the lost one as well. A great point with that one. Indeed. Any other thoughts?
Time is of the essence. It immediately reminds me of a of a great man from ancient times, Hillel the Great, when he said that if not now, then when? Time is always of the essence. Every moment that we're living, we're watching it go right into the past.
Yeah.
Like right now, this moment right now is gone forever. So if we're let me not say smart, if we're prudent, we would try to take every one of these moments, all of these, and not just the moments that as they come upon us, but having the foresight to look way into the future and say, you know what, I'm anticipating this point in time to come into the present, and I have to prepare for that moment instead of waiting for it to happen to you. So again, like Hillel said, if not now, then when?
Yeah. Any more thoughts? Got something I want to pull up before we get started in regards to time is of the essence. Go ahead and share it. So let's see. See if I can pull it up. And if I can't pull it up, I'm just gonna read it. I wanted to bring it out so you all could see it, but it's not allowing me to. So I'm just gonna read it. Let me try one more time. Window. All right. So it's not letting me do it. I'm gonna read it what it says. So it says, time is of the essence is a legal phrase used to specify the time period in which one party must complete its contractual obligations to the other party. Failure to meet deadlines set in the contract's time is of the essence clause results in a breach of contract. So I like how we made it more common, right? And in this term, they use it from a legal standpoint, which I think both are just as important. I like the legal part of it too because you can attach it to what we're going to be bringing out today. But again, everything that everyone said was good as well. I think just as important. So first topic of this evening is, how does a person balance the energy they give to the others before it causes mental, spiritual, and physical hindrance to the one giving it? How does a person balance the energy they give to others before it causes mental, spiritual, and or physical hindrance to the one giving it? I'm going to pass it to Kabetter Kathy. Can you start us off?
Okay. Shalom, everyone. Being honest, number one, about what you can do, what you can commit to. That balance begins with knowing your household, and for the most part, the things that you encounter on a daily basis, monthly, weekly, yearly, or what have you. The other thing for me is that once you commit to something, that's just me, I just feel that you should be committed. Things may come about where you can't for a particular period of time, or you may have to step down, but it's commitment, because you started something. And again, it goes back to you just looking at your situation before you give yourself too much. And then you should be honest enough to be able to say, okay, this is not working for me. I'm giving too much. It's taken away from what I have to do on a daily basis for me personally, maybe from my family, maybe from my job. And I'm going to keep going back to being honest, because when we're not honest with each other, I think that's when it causes certain grievances among people, communities. We're more afraid of hurting a person or people's feelings than we are about being honest. And the longer you suppress how you really feel and how much of an imbalance in mental and spiritual and physical strain it may be causing, if you don't speak upon it, you're going to blow up, or something may be interpreted the incorrect way. That can be, again, in your personal life, job, business, what have you. So my biggest thing, again, is honesty. Also, again, just looking at yourself, your life in full circle as much as possible before you commit to a person or a situation that's going to require a lot of your time, or even a little bit of your time.
That's excellent. I love it. Chief Prince, what you got? How does a person balance the energy they give to others before it causes a mental, spiritual, and or physical hindrance to them or to the one that's giving it?
Yeah, it's I think I'll say it this way, because I was going to go down another rabbit hole, but I'm gonna try to keep everything on the table. I think one of the mistakes, and I'm just going to keep it and frame what I'm about to say from the perspective of just general interactions with people, whether it's in the household or whether it's outside or job or whatever. But just dealing with people who are familiar with us. I think one of the mistakes that we make is that we don't look at people. We look at people as people instead of looking at them as containers of juice. And what I mean by that is, when you go into a supermarket and your intention is to get a gallon of juice, let's say apple juice, orange juice, whatever. Your intent is to get a gallon. But all they have is quarts. All they have is a quart left. So you say, okay, well, I'm going to buy the quart. You get the quart, you go back home, whatever, and you start using this quart of juice, but you're expecting to get a gallon out of it because your intent was to get the gallon, but you got the quart. We make the mistake of assuming that we make the mistake of assuming that the quart that we bought is still going to give us or render us a gallon of juice, and that is our mistake when it comes to people. We have to look at people for, we have to assess the people that we're dealing with and say, you know what, that person right there is not a gallon, that's a quart. So if we transfer that analogy from juice to energy, we understand that if you're the type of person that is a gallon and you're expecting a gallon of energy, that type of energy to come to you, but you're expecting a gallon from a quart, you're always going to come up short. And that's where the frustration comes in, because you're expecting something that's not there. And it's not their fault, because again, a quart is a quart. You can't argue with a quart about being a gallon. It is what it is. The mistake is, it's us. We are putting ourselves in positions in these interactions with people. We're expecting more than what the persons are able to give. And that's when you start, so what do? We start putting more and more and more into these situations, but we're not going to get anything reciprocated on the same level of what we're giving off. So if you're spending more energy than you're getting in, what does that lead to? That leads to exhaustion. It leads to frustration, because you're saying, hey, if I'm putting this out, why am I not getting it back? Well, because again, you're pouring a quart into a gallon container, and you're expecting it to fill up, and it's just not going to happen. So I think that's one of the first things that we make the mistake of. Instead of, we looking at people just simply as people, and we're assuming that everybody has the same capacity, and experience has shown us that it's just not the case. Like, there's some people that they can love and love almost on an altruistic level, where they could just give love, and it just never ends. Some people, they can give a little bit and they can wash it up. They're like, nah, I'm not giving no more. Everybody just doesn't have, they don't have the same capacity in that sense. And I think that when we understand that, we remove ourselves from these possible mental, spiritual hindrances. We don't worry about the imbalance, because we're like, well, I already know what I'm going to get from that situation, so I only put that type of energy into that situation. So I put exactly what I intend to get back from it. There's no stress. There's nothing negative that comes with it. And you can be happy in that type of situation, those type of interactions. It's just like if you're at a job, if you're at a job and you know that the job is supposed to pay you $25, but the supervisor says, oh yeah, well, they decided that they're only going to pay you $10 an hour. Are you going to give that job the same energy for, you're going to give them a $25 an hour energy, or you're going to give them a $10 energy? You're like, nah, this job ain't worth no, and you're going to make that switch because of that, because you know that this job is not worth what they're giving me. So I'm going to remove myself from it. We have to kind of take those same type of viewpoints when it comes to just interactions with people. We got to remember that people, are, they come with baggage. People, they got backgrounds, they come with hurt, they come with joy, they come with all these different things, and everybody just does not have the same. Everybody's not working with the same set of tools. And our mistake is that we go into these situations assuming that everybody's operating from the same group of tools, and that's just not how life is. And I think that we're able to balance our energy and not allow it to be sucked out of us if we understand. It's just like with public speaking. The first thing that you do in public speaking is what? Assess your audience. Understand who you're talking to. Understand that, okay, this is the kind of audience. Let me shift my energy so that audience, so I can deal with that audience on their level. That's kind of how I tend to deal with that issue of of trying to balance, how much energy I expend on certain things. If I know that I'm not going to get back what I'm giving in a situation, then either I don't put myself in the situation, or I just only give that amount of energy and I preserve the rest of that energy for a different situation. So that's my take on that.
Appreciate it. Coach Sharon, what you got for this topic? How does a person balance the energy they give to others before it causes mental, spiritual, and or physical hindrance to the one giving it?
I
I would have to say that with this topic, I have not yet to master balancing my energies. Um, Sweeto.
Okay. All right, all right. I'll go ahead and jump in till she comes back. What I would say
I'm
out of
here. I'm sorry. My
oh,
children, they start to get real active as soon as I start talking. This topic is I have not yet to learn how to balance my energy. Um, that I give to others. My whole entire life, I've always been the go-to person for advice, the go-to person for financial, the go-to person for physical help, just the overall go-to person. However, what I am learning is to create a schedule of boundaries. And I know I always use the example of when Moshe was told to appoint other people in position for the sake of the community. I use that example all the time because I believe that it covers a multitude of things. I'm learning to appoint certain segments of myself to people, meaning I can give this day, or I can give this and I can give that, but I can't give this. I'm learning to appoint certain attributes and certain segments of who I am to balance my energy that I give to the people. I feel like another way to balance this is to kind of like go to our community. You know, community plays a big part into balancing the energy that we gives to others. It takes a village. That saying doesn't only goes for raising children. It takes a village to appoint duties. It takes a village to Sleeker, can y'all hear me?
okay, we can hear you.
It takes a village to um energize yourself to others mentally, spiritually, and physically. But I'm still learning this topic. I'm still learning how to balance my energy because I've always been that person in my community to be the go-to person when it comes to everything. So when I do retreat back into a cocoon, people wonder, "Oh, what's wrong with Roni? What's wrong with the eye coat?" And it's nothing wrong, or yeah, it is something wrong. I don't never expose that side of me that I'm irritated, that I'm exhausted, that I'm frustrated, because whenever I do experience um that side of me, people find it very fond. People find it very unusual. So I'm learning to create a schedule of boundaries and to allot segments of myself or what I know that I can give when it comes to mental, spiritual, and physical energy to the people. I'm learning that I don't have to take on everything. We people don't have to take on everything. This is why community is important. We should have um, certain women in position to allot certain energies to certain solutions or certain situations that happen in a community. I'm learning this. So this is a topic where I am a student. I'm a student because I'm still learning how to balance that energy out. And that's pretty much where I'm at with it. Even though um even though I'm learning, I've came to realize that you had to set certain boundaries, because if you continue to um expose yourself to be the all in all person, you don't really have no wiggle room to show no other side. You don't really have no wiggle room to retreat to any type of other I'm gonna say character that people are not aware of, because then they're gonna look at you and say, "Oh, this sister, she's not who she says she is," because for so long you've been exposing or you've been contributing yourself without any balance, without any boundaries, without any cutoff points.
Okay. Okay. I don't want to cut your wisdom. Still going?
Oh no, Zayho.
Okay. Okay. Excellent points, everyone. I'm gonna try to be brief, but excellent points. You all hit it. I don't even think I'm gonna touch the areas that you all spoke on. I wrote a book called A Manual to Self-Preservation and Divine Conscience. A manual, the first part, you all, a manual to self-preservation. So this question, how does a person balance the energy they give to others by preserving yourself first? Setting aside times to where you have certain people call it your own oasis or whatever. I remember I used to stay at a spot. I missed this spot, by the way. I was on like the third, fourth floor. Had a balcony, and I go out, at nighttime while people are sleeping, and I'm just like I'm there with the Most High YAH or something. I'm just meditating, after praying or something, just relaxing, just in a quiet area. Most of our day, we're always around noise. If you have children, you might be around noise. If you are someone that's at a high position at work, or a high position at work, or even just work in general, is noise. You get in your car, people turn on the radio most time. It's noise, music, noise, everything. But if you notice, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of times when the Most High spoke with somebody, it was during times where it wasn't noise. Whether you were sleeping or whether you was by yourself, we can't hear the Most High. And this is another topic, but a lot of us can't hear the Most High, whether it's audible or whether it's in visions most of the time, because we're too active, always moving, not preserving self. So my thoughts to this: how does a person balance their energy? Especially if you're a Maureen, or a teacher, or just whatever you might be, a supervisor, a parent. If you're not preserving yourself, your sanity, your health, your mental, your spirituality, and you're liable to just snap. But in the book I wrote called The Manual to Self-Preservation and Divine Conscience, shameless plug, I literally brought out that moment I just told you about when I'm on the balcony, and I'm these different moments to where I'm just at peace, and I practice it. I keep doing it. So when I come into a space to where someone might put me in this situation, or I might be around this, the very thing that I think about is that moment of peace. That point that I preserved myself. I saturate myself fully in that. We're fully saturated in others over ourselves. That's an imbalance. So we gotta, before we can give our energy to others, we gotta keep that in mind and remember that. And I'm speaking to myself right now when I say this. We gotta keep in mind, and especially if you are someone that is dealing with different personalities, like different people and active and things like that, you got to protect yourself first.
Yep.
So my answer to that: how does a person balance the energy they give to others before it causes mental, spiritual, and or physical hindrance to the one giving it? And physical hindrance, when I say about that, some people, they have body aches and stuff like that, and they ain't even working out or working. Your body just tired of breaking down because of this stuff, this energy that you're taking on from someone else. So you got to make sure you're fully equipped. And again, I'm talking to myself when I say this, a reminder, and I'm hopefully I'm talking to those that's listening right now. I see we got a few people tuning in. So that should be the first thing that we should do. And with that, I yield. Anybody have any comments to what any of us said or what I said before we move forward? For those that's tuning in, welcome to YAH Conscience Radio. Well, if it's not YAH Conscious, it's not acceptable. Please subscribe, like, and share.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on I want to expound more when I say community, meaning you can call certain people up and be like, hey, this brother specialize in this, or this sister specialize in this. That's not my area of expertise. I don't. That's not my area, but I do know someone who can assist you um, in this type of genre or this type of help that you seek.
Wisdom. That's wisdom. And I like the point you brought out with the Moshe. That's some people carry so much, and you need a break. You need people to help. So that was a good point to bring that out and attaching that to community. That's why it's very important. So without further ado, go ahead and play the first song of this evening. And it's a song called Lechem Yah. In Hebrew, that means go with Yah.
Jeremiah 17:7. Blessed is the man who trusts in Yahuwah and whose trust is Yahuwah. Psalms 56:3. In the day I am afraid, I trust in you. Psalms 91:2. He is saying of Yahuwah, my refuge and my stronghold, my Elohim, in whom I trust.
You're blessed if you trust in Yah, so please don't worry, for there's nothing too hard for Yah, even though it seems blurry, Dark clouds might get low, don't know which way to go. Keep Yah, go with Yah, for your word light up my road. For the Torah is a light, high beam, like fire shut up in my bones, I scream. Like Jeremiah, the word of Yah, just like fire. We all know he rise up steady, getting higher. And like a flick lighter, y'all put that sparks in me. Before Isaiah 8:20, it was darks in me. And Moshe playing around like Scissor Parks in me. But now I know I'm breaking curses and it starts with me. My biggest enemy with my enemy. Being an adversary to myself, running a misery. But the word of Yah is dear to me, got it in my memory. Now I know G-O-D is my energy. Blessed if you trust in Yah, so please don't worry, for there's nothing too hard for Yah, even though it seems blurry, Dark clouds might get low, don't know which way to go. Keep Yah, go with Yah, for your word light up my road.
Hey, Tom, trying to find which way to go. Looking for the light, I think I see it. So I put my mind up on that road. Stepping out the dark, I can't believe it. Adio here, Beth Oka, Elion, Elohim, new to the day I die. I'ma stay true. Study your words and apply them. Yes, I will call them. I will defy them. Teaching them to who is lost, so we got them. While right beside them, tell them to try. You need to wait. He can provide and create blessings in all shapes and sizes. Going through hell where you can survive and come out on top. I can't even describe it, man. What a wonderful feeling it is. When you trusting in the highest,
you're blessed if you trust in Yah, so please don't worry, for there's nothing too hard for Yah, even though it seems blurry, Dark clouds might get low, don't know which way to go. Keep Yah, go with Yah, for your word light up my road.
And like Yah, I will go with Yah. And what that really means is that we out here keeping Torah. Maya, I'm only giving you the highest praise. Trusting in you, I acknowledge you in all my ways. And yea, though I walk through valleys and shadows, I fear no evil. For you are with me, you're riding your staff to comfort your people. Please lead the way, I'm with you on this journey. Long as we together, I'm never in a hurry. So, walk with me, Yah. Walk with me. Walk with me, walk with me. Let's go.
You're blessed if you trust in Yah, so please don't worry, for there's nothing too hard for Yah, even though it seems blurry, Dark clouds might get low, don't know which way to go. Keep Yah, go with Yah, for your word light up my road.
Okay. That song was called Lechem Yah. So sometimes I might say Yebrecha Ehwa wa Yishmerecha, which means may Yah bless and keep you all. Before you leave, I might say that, but sometimes I might say Lechem Yah, and you all respond by saying Elechem Yah. I will go with Yah. All right? We're going to try that one time. Y'all there? Lechem Yah. Y'all going to say Elechem Yah. All right, we'll come back to that. All right, so next topic of I was trying to test y'all.
You know I was laughing. I was trying to get it right. But I'm not gonna embarrass myself. We got to do that a couple more times.
We will. That might be a little easier than what the me and Chief Prince be saying to each other.
I'm sure.
How you sell that? Is he saying how you sell that or how you say that? So if I say Lake Yah, Lechem Yah, that is go with Yah, and then you would say Elech Yah, Elechem Yah, which means I will go with Yah. How do you spell that? I got you. I'll spell it in a minute. All right, so next topic. And it is, how much time is too much time or too little time spent with your husband or wife, or for some people, wives? How much time is too much time or too little time spent with your husband or wife or wives? So let's speak on both of them. How much time is too much time? And then how much time is too little time? That's like two different topics by itself, I know. Or you could just pick one of them. How much time is too much time or too little time spent with your husband or wife or wives? We're going to go in that same order. I knew you was going to look like that. We're going to go in the same order we went in. How much time is too much time spent with your husband or your wife?
Okay.
It's a broad question.
It is. I think we talked about this before. Maybe I know it wasn't like the same topic, but I had mentioned that, before you join together, as one, you're still individual. And you were an individual. And I think to a certain degree, you should be allowed to continue to be that individual. Again, I said to a certain degree. If I have hobbies and I'm spending so much time with you that I'm not engaging in my hobbies that I did when I met you prior to us becoming one, I think that could be a problem down the line. And vice versa. I mean, the husband can be, into something, but again, there's limitations to everything, again, depending on your family life, how, style, children, what goes on. I personally like spending time with my husband, my spouse, and that's my best friend. We started off as friends before it got to that. So, but I don't know, because I learn something different every day, whether it's music, scriptures, just that energy, like working from home, getting worn out all day, like he rejuvenates me, you know what I mean? Like to a certain degree, because I know when I see him walk through that door, that's kind of like towards the end of my work day, where I could I breathe easier. But I do think there should be boundaries, as my sister mentioned earlier, reasonable boundaries that's not going to damage your relationship. And definitely, your relationship with the Most High.
All right. I love it. I'm going to read one of the comments. I know I just shared it, but just want to bring it out. It says, too much time is when you're not grinding enough. And less time is when you're grinding not enough or a little too much. So All right, appreciate that. Chief Prince, what you got for us?
Kane, I mean, I don't know if we can put any type of numerical values to this as far as like what's the cutoff for how much too much time or too little time, but I think it has a lot to do with what is the agenda of the couple. If you're the type of couple that pretty much like if the sum total of what the couple does is Netflix and chill, then yeah, then it would be very easy to kind of like get tired of a person because it's like, all right, this is all we do. But if we're going to invoke the ways of our ancestors, for instance, I don't think just from what I've studied historically, I don't think that husbands and wives spent as much time with each other as we think they did, especially in comparison to today, because men had work to do, women had work to do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're talking about land ownership. We're talking about at a time, in times when a woman marries, comes to a marriage with a man. Remember, she's coming with her handmaidens. She's coming in with women who have been her maidservants. These are her friends. Let's not compare servitude, hand servant, maid servants, men servants with what we have today. In those days, when a woman had maid servants, these were her friends. These were these were women who they shared a lot in common. They talked a lot with each other. Whatever, they already have a friendship. They're coming into it now. She's coming into this marriage with her friendship still intact. That's why when you see in the biblical narrative, when women came, to the hut, they came with their maidservants. These people are not just serving them. These are friends. Men have their male servants, like like Abraham had his men servants. Listen, go over here to my kindred, the land of my kindred, and go get a wife. These are Abraham's friends. So if you're out there, if you're out there working, if you're doing the things that men do and whatever, and women are doing the things that they do, I don't think men and women sat up under each other all the time. I don't think they did, and plus it would be counterproductive. How much work can you be doing if, let's say, 16 hours of the day, if you're up under each other? Unless we're talking about you and your spouse are working on projects together.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that's a different dynamic, because now the personal relationship element is not there. Like if we're working on a project, let's say we're working on a book, we don't have time for for kissy lovey dovey. Like, we're trying to get this work. Listen, I need you to go over there and go get the encyclopedias, go research this particular thing. I'm gonna go over here and do this. So we're constantly focused on work, and so I think if both parties know exactly what it is that they're getting into, as far as what what their work is going to be like, what they're trying to accomplish, and they're busy in these different areas of their life, I think that they get so caught up in that when they do come together, that time that they have, that personal time, it's now quality time. It becomes quality because you spent the rest of the day doing the things that you do. She's doing the things that she does. And when you look at Proverbs 31, and that particular type of woman, that woman doesn't have a whole lot of time to be sitting idle. She's doing a whole bunch of things. So when she does come together with her husband, then even if it's a small amount of time, even if it's just 2 hours in a day, it becomes quality time because you spent the rest of the day doing other things. So that's kind of my angle on that.
Nice. Appreciate it. Sharon, what you got?
Okay, so I did a little studying. I had compare some statistics together. Is a marriage most likely to fail if a couple spends more time together or less time together? However, it didn't give me a percentage, but it did give me some examples. No, it didn't give me a percentage, but it did give me some written statistics, and the statistics were couples are most likely to divorce if they live together first and then get married, versus um them getting married first and then moving in with one another. Now, I
That's
tried
interesting.
to Sleeker.
No, I said that's interesting. That's an interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is, Chief. Very, very interesting. Because I'm like, okay, maybe the first, maybe the prior statistics is most likely to divorce because you already living with this person. You already know the ins and outs, you know, what they do, what they don't do. So when y'all get married, you expect some change from what y'all used to doing when y'all was just living together prior to getting married. Sometimes we have this stigmatism where we get married. We want change. We want things to be different from when we weren't married or when we was just new. When we were just living together. Me personally, um I can't really say because this question is very broad. So I don't want to put my opinion out there like it's fact. However, I don't know if y'all know this by now. My sister Kathy, she know this. I'm a person that likes my space. I don't like clinginess. I I feel that if we do spend a lot of time together, it has to be some type of agenda going on. It has to be some type of purpose. Because don't get me wrong, Netflix and chill is cool. That's when that quality time does come in. However, if we just sitting up here Netflixing and chilling 24/7 all day, yeah, I am going to be bound, or we people are going to be bound to be tired of one another very fast. And I'm going to use the pandemic as an example because the pandemic it's a perfect example of marriages was tested because y'all was doing nothing but being in the house together under one another all day, every day. And I'm a person of I like to be a neutral party. I feel like it has to be a balance. You have to spend time with me just enough where it keeps me interested. It keeps the heart growing fonder, but also you have to allow me to retreat back into some individuality as well. And that's pretty much my spin on it.
All right. I'm gonna say all y'all wrong. Now I'm playing. Good takes, good takes. I like what y'all put out there. Trying to see if I'm gonna go a different angle. So how much time is too much time spent with your husband or wife or wives? I love how at the end that Coach Sharon brought out the absence make the heart grow fonder. We've heard that a lot. But then she also says something that is true today. A lot of women are clingy. A lot of men are clingy as well. I think that it was a one of my friends, close friends since I was like 18. He works extremely hard. Probably one of the hardest workers that I've ever known. When it comes to his work is a little different than people that like do work on the land and all that stuff. But he's always working. He works 20 hours a day. Like he's up there, and in the money bracket, probably close to $1 million, if not already. But one of the things he had said to me when we was younger, and I was asking him, I'm like, man, this was at like 19 years old, 20 years old. I'm like, your woman don't ever say nothing to you, man. You always working, like always working. And he was like, one of the things that I focus on and was taught to me when I was younger by his father, you know, father was married, still married today to his mom, was when you are together, if you give 150% when you're together, and it's a time that's planned or it's a time of quality time and you're focused. I mean, like, you know how some people, you ever been around people, and this might be some of y'all who watching, this might be some of y'all on the panel too, I don't know. But you ever been, and it's not a shot if it is, but have you ever been around people to where they're with each other, but when they're with each other, they're like on their phones the whole time? Or whatever it might be, like they're together, but they're separate. What he was saying was that if when I'm with that person, I'm spending that 150% with the children, with them, 150%. My time is that. So when I'm not with them, it won't be nagging done to me if I'm doing, because he goes hard with work. I mean, it's to the point where he cuts his phone off and he turns it on the last 10 minutes of the hour. So the last 5 minutes of each hour, he might check an email or something. Then turn his phone back on snooze or whatever you call it. That's the type of work he do. Because one of the studies we was both looking at one day was like, when people work 8 hours a day, 9 times out of 10, they really not working 8 hours. When you at a regular job, 9 times out of 10, if you work an 8-hour shift, you're not really working 8 hours, or even 7, because, you know, some people got an hour break or 30 minutes lunch. You're not really working because you're on your phone, you're on Facebook, you're doing something outside of work. And that was the reason he did that. So my point in bringing this out is, how much time is too much time? I think that I can agree with, I think it was Benaya that said what he said. Too much time is when not grinding enough. A man should be grinding. You know, today women work hard as well too. So it should be a nice grind. You know, especially if you're building together, you got land or whatever you might be doing. Or if you don't have land and you're trying to build a business with your husband or your wife or whatever it might be, grind. Because once you come together, when y'all done grinding, it's just gonna feel it's gonna feel so much better. That's my opinion. I ain't married. All of y'all with somebody. I'm the only person that's not. So, you know, that's my thoughts. We have a couple comments. Can we say that time gave people the opportunity to know their spouse in ways they didn't before? Okay. He said, I have told people to put their phones away, put the time in. Yeah, he was commenting on what I just said. But what do you all think about this question that he asked right here? Can we say that time gave people the opportunity to know their spouse in ways they didn't before? What do you all think about that?
Okay. I mean, and again, and this is only coming from the, you know, African American marriage, you know, setup, because obviously Hebrews tend to do things a little bit differently, whatever. But yeah, I mean, because 9 times out of 10, the people that you're with, you probably dated them once or twice, 3 times, whatever like that. Then all of a sudden, then y'all together now, and y'all now figuring things out as you go along. But now work and stuff like that has, you know, it's actually, work has become the exact opposite of what I was saying earlier, that it now becomes a distraction. Because as long as I'm over here doing this and you're over here doing that, there's a lot of things in the relationship that should be dealt with, but you're not able to deal with it because you got all of these other distractions. But like you said, like what Gavera Sharon said, when you now bring the example of COVID-19, and now you force people into a space to now have to deal, you know, now all of that other stuff that's been under the rug, that's been swept under the rug for who knows how long, now it's spring cleaning. Now all of it comes out. And yeah, you do get a chance now to see what you're really dealing with. But of course, we know as Hebrews that courting removes all of that nonsense. So we don't have to worry about it going forward. You know, so we don't have to worry about who my spouse is once we put together, because courting already figured that out for you. But that's another story.
That's another subject. I was about to say, because that's those of us that actually do the courting process as well. You know,
Right.
so some people don't.
And then, right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Any other thoughts as to what he said before we move forward, you all, or any comments on anything that anyone else said? All right.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say to Gavera Sharon, when you get a chance, inbox us or inbox me, whatever, the link or whatever, like the statistics that you were going into, the source, because I would like to see how the rest of that that research has panned out, like whatever whatever other research they did along those lines. I'd like to see how it panned out in other areas, because that's a very interesting assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a chance, just plug us. Yeah.
All right. Those that's tuning in, welcome to YAH Conscious, soon to be called YAH Conscious Network. Well, if it is not YAH Conscious, then it is not acceptable. Please share, comment, and like the page. I'm going to go ahead and play the next song of the evening. And since we've been talking about time, we're going to play Me Time.
Let me get your ear. I'm about to rhyme. It's the real, speak of the real, and you gon' feel every line as I speak to this beat about this world full of crime. We protested in the streets cause the police gun us down. New cases every week of COVID-19. Sometimes I can hardly sleep cause ain't no peace in my mind. So I seek and try to find a little peace of mind. Pop in the wheel. Turn on this and just ride. I got a lot of stuff on my mind, trying to keep from crying. Lean back and recline, relax and unwind. So I just drive, so I could get a little bit of me time.
I need some me time. Don't take this personal. Just me in the most high. So it's spiritual. See, I just meditate and drive like it's a ritual. Digging deep off in my mind, feeling so perpetual. So I ride to unwind. Car problems can grow like vine. Life could be a sour line, but yeah, in first light. So I look up in the sky, let my thoughts incline. Keep the Torah inside like Psalms 119.
Yeah, verse 11, so I do not sin against Habo Ray. That's why I be coolin'. My mission is stay up out the way. Cause these folks be bugging out, losing their mind cause of COVID. Yeah, they blind and it's showing. Can't even tell which way they going. And I'm knowing that I might snap, hoping they'll get out of line and we collide. No, scratch that. Can't give them that part of my mind, so I recline in my vehicle and drive far away from all of the madness and get some me time. Yeah.
Ride. I got a lot of stuff on my mind, trying to keep from crying. Lean back and recline, relax and unwind. So I just drive, so I could get a little bit of me time.
Rolling in a Chrysler 200 with one hood cap. Would I rather ride on chrome? Yes, I would love that. But I'm blessed with the ride. I'm riding and thinking. My people so addicted to party, drugs, and drinking. Gotta keep my mind on point. Can't tilt that away. Gotta keep my eyes real focused. Can't smoke that away. Thankful for everything I got is what the Father gave me. Gotta smash through roadblocks built up by slaves.
Car full, but I'm on E. No drug, but what I need is that 100 grade from my B so I can see what's not visible. Mind bringing proof that I ain't worthy, but the judge said that is not permissible. Music blasting, the silent clashing, the symbols, these syllables coming together. Flowing living water, it's a miracle. How I'm driving, but getting the lift from the spiritual truth empirical. Had to turn this up, blast my stereo as
I ride. I got a lot of stuff stuff on my mind, trying to keep from crying. Lean back and recline, relax and unwind. So I just drive, so I could get a little bit of me time.
Sometimes you gotta get in your car, just go on the road. Just go on the road and get home and get your wine and just get your me time.
That song, that song, the way it sounds like something that you're playing while you are parked outside of Quick Trip.
Outside of where?
Quick Trip. It's like a big
oh man,
gas station / you can pretty much buy anything you want there, all types of food. It's called QT, but it's that full name is Quick Trip. But it's like that's the perfect. That's like the perfect song to just, if you're parked in the parking lot of QT, you sipping on something, you got a little snack, and you just
just relaxing.
Yeah.
And I promise that wasn't planned because it said something about COVID in there and everything. And then I was like, I just thought of a show. I coach about. And then
that was nice.
Yeah.
Laid back music.
Hey, all right. Those that's tuning in, hope you're liking the tunes. Hope you're liking the topic of discussion and the things that has been brought out. If you are, subscribe to the channel, share the channel, like the channel, comment on the channel. All right, last topic. Man, we moving along today. I'm looking at the time like, oh man, it's really, we really just started an hour ago. Chicago would have been done by now. All right, last one. Here we go. This is interesting right here. Who has the final say with your thoughts? Your family or your spouse? Do we see the answer you are about to give carried out today? So who has the final say with your thoughts? Your family or your spouse? And do we see the answer that you give carried out today? And what I mean by that, are we seeing whatever your answer is going to be done on a large scale today? Same order.
Oh no, Chief. You trying to set us up?
No. This is good. This is good.
But I was gonna ask you. I mean, maybe it's just me. I mean, because this too is a very broad question. Like, in what aspect? I mean, because we all work individually of ourselves every day in our positions, jobs, parenting, require us to make decisions without always immediately consulting with our spouse or whomever. So I was just wondering, in what aspect are we still talking about relationships or, just in general?
Definitely talking about relationships.
Okay.
No, good. It's good. This is good. I did this on purpose because I think it's something that we should ponder on. We should bring out. We should bring our perspectives on, and let the people pick from it what might help them or not help them. But you could say it from your point of view, or you could say it from what you see. Whichever answer you want to give. Who has the final say?
I'm gonna stay in my lane, so I'm just gonna speak on myself. I mean, my sister Sharma, she'll tell you, we laugh about it, but I really like to engage my husband on decisions that definitely very well can impact our household and impact me. Going out and about, not making him aware. A lot of women will look at that like, you don't need to know my every move, Hey, I live in Baltimore. Even if I'm going to the market, this is where I'm going because 9 times out of 10, I'm walking. Wow. And even far as finances, like, I don't know if this is weird. I mean, like we have an agreement in as far as the amount that we can spend or need to spend without consulting with each other. Because again, I can be in an emergency situation. He can be in an emergency situation. I don't know. I mean, that's really, I just think it's very important to talk about, you know what I'm saying, the majority of the things that could impact your household, especially your finances, your you know, the most high, communication is just everything. I don't think it's too much to talk about. I personally just don't think it's, and do I see a lot of that carried out? No. Because a lot of men look at that as they as an upper hand, and then you have a lot of women that look at it as a part of submission, like I don't have to do this type of thing. It's taken away from who they are. That's my take on it.
Love the take, love the perspective. Love how it was brought out. We got 4 good panelists that's gonna bring their points, and it's gonna be. I never had when we came together. I was like, okay, these individuals are gonna bring forth either similar thoughts, different thoughts, but it's always gonna line up in some fashion to better the home. I think that's the goal right there. Think about what I said. I'm gonna bring it out on my part, but it's something that is beautiful about this platform. I go and I watch other platforms, and it'd be some good platforms, but sometimes it can be chaotic. But that's what people like. They like the chaos and that type of. But I'm gonna pass it, Chief Zeb. I could go. Chief Prince Avalon, what you got? What you got with this one? You're muted if you're speaking.
My bad. I was doing a Kathy move. She'd be going in and whatever like that. You're like, oh, she's muted. Nah. I think it's kind of hard to say. It's kind of hard to answer this question, only because there's a couple things that we gotta first ask ourselves. Are we speaking about this from the perspective of ancient morality, or are we talking from, because whether it's ancient or modern, it could affect the response. Another thing that we got to also consider is, once again, ancient and modern, what constitutes family? Are we talking about immediate family, like like my father, my mother, my siblings, or are we talking from a communal sense? Because if we're speaking, from an ancient perspective, and we're talking about community, like this is family, then in that respect, the family's word trumps the wife's or the husband's. Why? Because if something is happening in the house, what do we read in the Torah? The Torah tells us that whatever the situation is occurring in the house, it must be brought to the judges. Now, we can say something. If I say, well, I feel so and so and so, or you say, or the woman says, I feel so and so. But what happens if the judges say something different? Who has the final say in that? The spouse or the judges? And it would be the judges. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so when we say family, what does that term mean? Are we talking about immediate family? Are we talking about a clan? Are we talking about tribal family? Are we talking about the nation? I mean, and that's why I say it's kind of difficult to, I guess, to answer that from that perspective. But if we're just talking about just modern, just from a modern sense, then I think the spouse probably kind of inches out from the family, and that's not to say that what your family, and when I say family, I mean the father and mother more than anything else. Their word, their word and their perspective has to be taken seriously and should be considered, with all due respect. But when a man shall leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. For me, that means that, okay, whatever's happening there, okay, that's fine. I can take that into, as counsel, take that into consideration. But at the home front, what happens at the home front would have to trump the outside perspective, because nobody knows what's happening. Nobody knows the ins and outs of the situation more than the spouses do. The spouses know the ins and outs of their situation. People on the outside, they're going to be a little bit biased. You know what I'm saying? Like, people who know the husband might be biased towards the husband. People who know the wife, they might be biased towards the wife. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying it's difficult, but I think just generally, if we're just talking about immediate family versus, spouse, I think best case scenarios, the spouse would trump the family. And I'm talking best case, because you might be with a damn with a wicked spouse, and it's like maybe I will side with my family. So that's a very loaded question. Total Rabachi for that that damn loaded question. But that's just like I said, that's just my angle from those particular perspective. But it's so many rabbit holes within that rabbit hole that.
All right. Coach Sharon, what you got for us?
Kane, I would have to be on the same wavelength as Chief Zabulon. If we're talking on the ancient perspective, the sole decision just doesn't stop with the husband. A wife and a husband can have a disagreement, and they can have a case, and the case just doesn't stop with what he decides. You got to take it to the judges. If we're talking more on a modern aspect, it depends on the thought. It depends on the thought. And I'm speaking from experience. There's some things within my family that my husband just I'm not going to say couldn't, but really had no knowledge or no jurisdiction over. Only because there's certain family matters that outweighs the spouse's final say. And this is me speaking from a personal perspective. It's something that I just recently experienced with my family when we had family matters when my aunt recently passed. This is a very broad question. I would have to say it kind of just depends on the thought. It depends on the thought. Of course, if you want to put it in simple terms, if you want to use simplicity with it, yeah, your spouse could have the final say over your thought process and things like that. But it kind of just depends on the thought. It depends on your thoughts. Some things your spouse can woo. Yeah, because this is a rabbit hole within a rabbit hole within a rabbit hole indeed.
Gotta bring them. I gotta always throw them in there.
Yeah, because it's so many layers to it. It's just not a one answer fit all. It's just so many layers to this. And I'm just going to have to bow out and say it kind of just depends. It depends on the thought. Sometimes your family can have jurisdiction over some things that your spouse may not have the knowledge or jurisdiction over. It's some things that your spouse have plenty of jurisdiction over that your family just cannot be a part of or have jurisdiction over. It kind of just depends. It depends on a just weights and just balance in the scales of this. Of the particular thought at hand.
All right. I think you all covered it. I like how you all both, all of you brought out the fact that it can go. You was very specific as to whether it was ancient or modern. The reason I brought this out is because I believe for us to be more successful, we need that ancient way. Look to the old paths. And what's interesting is even the modern day today actually looks to the ancient path when it comes to certain things. You think of family court, who has the final say if you bring it to them. What you just said, Shofatim, the judges. You know, of course, in modern times, like we can be more free in the sense of how we want to operate and move. But if you're married and you got married under the court system, they typically will have the final say in throughout your whole life, actually, if you have children together and all that stuff. So it's the ancient paths is there a little bit, but it's not. I think that for it to be the most successful, I think we should go back that way. The problem is I don't think a lot of us will really want to, because the freedom will not be there like it is now. It wouldn't be, because even now we would listen to a certain extent and we still would be like, I'm grown, men and women alike. But if we had some real order, like some real structure, I don't think it would be. It's a lot of things I believe, I could be wrong, wouldn't be transpiring in certain relationships. I think it'll be a little more successful. I could be wrong. I just feel I feel I'm right. I could be wrong, but I feel I'm right. So who has the final say with your thoughts, your family or your spouse? I like what some of you said. It kind of depends on the topic. I believe for the most part, it's your spouse. I believe when it comes to community and family, those are really tough matters when they come in and they're involved. Now I'm talking about ancient times right now. And I also believe in ancient times, like when we think of the Torah, it was written and laid out for us to help us succeed as individuals, as a unit, man and a woman, and also as a community. So if you had a community that wanted everyone's success, then at that point, I believe that the man and woman, if they was in their right mind, would be more willing to follow that. Now, I do understand that I also say it's a remnant of a remnant, and it's always been the case. So we know that's not going to be the case. It's not going to be everybody. But I think that in comparison to now versus then, it's so much more avenues and roads to freedom today. We got cars that you could travel far away. You could get on a plane and fly to the next state or the next country now. It's just not the same like it was back then. So I think that a lot of people, even if they didn't like it, they went along with it. So where am I going with this? I believe the spouse does have it, or did have it. But when matters were tough, when matters were hard, that's when it went to the family members that came in more so, or the judges and stuff like that. You brought out Moshe, Sharon. Those tough matters didn't go. I mean, the ones that wasn't too tough didn't go to Moshe. After he created that, like the Sanhedrin, however you want to call it, those little matters went to those that was under. The big matters went to those above. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I look at that as the same thing with the household. I think that those matters that, are not as great, not as harsh, not as something that was detrimental to the family or the structure, that they handled that. Because I think that the women back then, and we do have women today that's like this, so I'm not saying women are not like this today, they truly honored and respected their husband. 9 times out of 10, they were given to their husband or went with their husband because they had some form of trust in them. Versus nowadays, people are picking a man or a woman just to be with him, and with no plans, nothing in place, don't really know anything about him, don't really know what his goals is and how he's going to facilitate the home and the family. So I believe that Isaiah said something real quick. This is my last point. Isaiah brought out something. What did he say? I say it's because it's a choice to listen to the guidance of a husband. So I think today, since there's so many avenues and so many ways to get out of the situation, that the in this context of what I'm saying, I'm not saying every woman, but in this context of what he said, it's like, okay, I don't really have to listen to you. I'm gone. It's not no family that's gonna stop us or sit us down and really care about us staying forever. Because some people probably was like, oh, you married him? Oh, you married her? Oh, okay, well, hey, good luck with that. They're not really caring about it because it's not a community setting or thought, as Uncle Sharon brought up. You know, so I just wanted to bring that out. I'm gonna close out with that. Anybody have anything to add?
Oh, you're good.
King Dora, I just wanted to add that not only, should we, in addition to the biblical times, I think we should also reference, like, even, I guess, the era that my grandparents grew up in, because that's what I grew up seeing. Regardless if Dorothy May went in the kitchen after he went outside and went in the yard and said whatever, that's just how they jive, just how they work together. You know what I mean? That final decision was of that husband. I'm not going to say I never seen my mother not go against it, but 95% of the time, if my Abba said, nope, that was it. And they had no understanding of the law as Chief speaks of. So I'm just saying, I just believe there was also an era in which women did respect the man as the household in their decision making.
Can I jump in on a point you just brought up? I was watching the Lapeef Network, and they have a segment called something King, the man of King,
King Talk.
King Talk. So they got a segment called King Talk, and this man brought something out that I've never heard nobody bring out. And I promise you, I'm gonna go back to it, and I'm gonna watch this TV show he brought out. If I said it, Chief, I know you'll know the TV show. And maybe you saw what I'm about to say right now. But he said, without us being indoctrinated, without all these different ideas that we learn in TV from our parents, our family, whatever it might be, school, whatever, this TV show had a woman and a man that grew up together, just them, according to what he was saying on the show. And he said that as they grew, the purpose of the man and the purpose of the woman was understood. They operated in a way that they knew how they were supposed to with each other, because there was no indoctrination as to how to move, not by family, not by anything. So that woman just instantly was a certain way to the man, and that man was instantly just a certain way. I gotta go back to that clip and find the TV show, because when he said that, he brought it out so much clearer than I did, because of course I don't know the show, but he broke it down so good, and I was like, it makes perfect sense. If I had someone right now and I was young and I grew up with them and we didn't have none of this indoctrination, whether it's TVs or anything, I think we would move a certain type of way with each other, because we would depend on each other. We would respect each other for what we bring to the table to help us survive in whatever that situation is. So that's another reason I brought that part out about the last part of that question. So sorry for jumping in if anybody wanted to add anything to that.
Kane, I did have a comment. Well, I have a question. So say you and your wife, we're going to go on the man's behalf. A wife tells her husband, because at the end of the day, a man's wife is still a spouse. So, are we talking about it as far as solely respect your spouse? I mean, who gets the last say of your thoughts? Is that strictly on a man's side, or does it go both ways? That's my question first.
So you're asking, does a man just have the final say in everything?
No, I'm saying the question to the last part: who has the final say to your thoughts? Your family or your spouse? Are we talking about spouse solely on a man's side, or
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I
or
got you.
or does it go both ways, the man's side and the woman's side?
Well, that question, it was literally just for both. I didn't have it for man. I geared it that way due to like what we see a lot today, to where men and or women are being extremely influenced outside of their home. That's just my opinion from what I see.
Okay. I
So,
wasn't, because it didn't have no gender specifics behind it, so I wasn't sure we was going to go with the ancient here, and of course it would be on the man's side.
Okay, I agree with you 100%.
But I did want to pose a question in a different perspective. Say a man confides in his wife, and the wife gives the man her sole judgment on his thoughts, right? Now you have to understand the nature of women when we make decisions. Sometimes we can be irrational, sometimes we can be illogical, sometimes we can be emotional, right? So say if the husband confides in his IQ, and his IQ makes he has another tone to his decision making or to the thought process. Who in that situation has the most upper hand of who controls or who detects the final say so of that man's thoughts?
I guess it depends on that man that you're bringing out. Like, are you asking, is he going to listen to his
Is he going to listen to his wife, because that is his spouse at the end of the day, or is he going to adhere more to his IQ, depending on the thought process?
My answer will be real simple, and that is, it depends on that man.
So it don't depend. It don't depends on the thought.
Let me finish. It depends. No. When I say it depends on that man, it depends on how he. Okay. If I come to, like, when I come for advice for someone, I base it upon their wisdom. I'm coming objectively asking something. I'm not going to someone who's just going to say yes or nay to me. So when I say it depends on that man, it depends on if that man is going to his ak just to have him agree with him or not. That's one. Two, it depends on that man if he's going to a certain person that's going to point out factual things or not. So my simple answer, I guess, would be like, if it was a man like myself or other men that I know that's like myself, he's going to do whatever is going to be best for the home, what's best for him and his Isha, what's best for their, you know what I'm saying? So that's a great question. But my answer to that is just, it depends on that man. It depends on what type of man that man is, as to who he's going to pick to listen to. Hopefully I answered the question. And that's why I love the fact that y'all brought out community, because if you have a structured community with men that are that have a certain level of integrity, families and women that have a certain level of integrity and a goal that I mentioned earlier, then when that man, if that man was to go to his Ak, that Ak has you all's home best interest in mind. So he ain't gonna just be saying something just to say it. Like, man, don't listen to her, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be something like, okay, what did you do? Did you do anything? Tell me this. Okay, maybe we should all sit down. Like, it's going to be something to make sure it actually, that's just my personal opinion. I know that that's not the case across the board. I understand that to be true. So that's why I said it depends on the man.
And I think to extend on that as well, I think one of the problems that just as a people today, and I guess we have to stay with the modern sense,
yeah,
because I mean, we like to talk about the ancient, but let's keep it real. Even in our ancient ancestors' error, even in their worst errors, they were more grounded than we are. We're all over the damn place. Come on. In ancient time, the importance of hierarchy, the importance of order, and understanding that there is a way to go about anything. When we're talking about getting advice from people, and this is always a hot point of contention, especially with women generally, but again, whatever. But our women specifically, because that's really all I really care about. The other nations, their women, that's their business. But for our women are a lot of times coming to the table trying to figure out where they fit in that in a marriage. Like, are they on equal footing with the man? Are they down here and the man is up here, or are they above, or whatever the case may be? So there's always this kind of like this. It's a hot button, especially for a lot of women, and of course, men. It's a hot button for men because they're looking at it like, well, wait a minute, I don't feel like I have to prove my manhood to a damn woman. I'm a man. Whatever. So there's this kind of like this constant bucking. But I'll say this, as far as taking advice, let's say from women or whatever, or from a man, going back to what Rosh Hashanah said, and that is that it really depends on the person. It depends on the issue that you're having. For instance, if I'm having an issue concerning carpentry, listen, I need some carpentry work done, in my office. Do I go to a plumber for advice on that?
Okay.
No, I don't.
Exactly.
I do not go to a plumber.
Exactly.
No disrespect to the plumber, but
right.
You're not qualified to give me advice on it right now. When I need some problems, when I need some help with my toilet, I'll holler at you. But I'm going to get my advice from someone. So now in the case, because there's actually I think in the Lapeef Network they kind of covered some of the similar ground in this older video where the women were kind of bucking against the idea of the hierarchy or whatever, and that and whether men can take effective counsel from women. And as I'm listening, I'm thinking like, well, wait a minute. Women will even, what I'm about to say, because I know it might sound misogynistic, but even women admit to this. So I'm saying it because women admit it. And that is that between men and women, men are the more logical. Women even admit that they operate on raw emotion. They just run off of energy. Everything is emotional spirit, everything. Men don't tend to get. That's why when men when they start acting, getting into their feelings, what's the first thing people say? Why you acting like a bee? Or you're acting like a. There's always that thing where if a man gets into his feelings, even women be looking at it, be like, yo, I've heard women say it. Yo, man up. Man up. So when we're talking about, so if I'm listening as a man, if I'm looking for advice on something that's going to be rooted in some type of logic, I'm going to go to a source that I can trust that's going to give me a logical response, not a emotional driven response. But then on the flip side, if I'm looking for counsel pertaining to things that are, let's say, spiritual, I might be more inclined to, to lean my ear towards a woman, because that's where a lot of their power and their strength is rooted is in spirit. Now, sometimes we've seen it kind of go off the rails with that when people say, when you look at the church, who do you always see in the church? There are women there. So nowadays, that's a bad thing. That's whatever. But, years ago, that was a good thing. Men are not as, spiritually or emotionally motivated. Men will just sit there and just go into the books all day. Just everything, book. Women are like, yeah, that's cool, but it's about the feeling. It's about the inner. And so there's a strength there. And so things that pertain to the spirit, things that pertain to more emotionally driven things, a man is more inclined, is more liable to incline his ear towards a woman because they are more so experts in that area. And then a man is going to incline. It's just like a woman. If a woman wants certain, if she wants to talk about her feelings, who does a woman go to first? Her husband or her best friend, who's a woman? You know what I'm saying? So, and that's just a fact. A woman is going to be like, yeah, I don't want. Why won't she go to her husband? Because chances are he's probably not going to fully understand the emotional things that are going on with her. He might, he might be able to sympathize, but he may not be able to empathize with her. But she knows, I'm going to go to my girlfriend. I'm going to go to my homegirl. You know what I'm saying? My Akoti. I want to go over there, and because they can link on that level. So when we flip the question and say, well, does a woman, when it's things pertaining to their spirit, to their emotional things that they're going on in their personal life, does a woman go to her husband or does she go to her female best friend first? And they probably want to say they go to their husband first, but come on. They go to homegirl. Just like a man. A man is not going to necessarily go immediately to his, if he's having some things, he's going to go to his, yo, listen, I got this issue. I want to run this by you. And that's not always a bad thing. It just depends. We have to be kind of level on it. There has to be things that the two spouses do come together and say, okay, we're going to figure this out. But then there are some things that you genuinely, you have to go in the area where the expertise lies. I can't go, a man can't go to a woman and get advice on things that pertain to male issues because, well, they're not a male, so therefore their vantage point is going to be a little bit incomplete. Women talk to women about women issues, men talk to men about men issues, and I think that when we understand that there's going to be those distinctions, I think the relationships are much better. They're more healthier because it's like, well, it's no disrespect to you, sweetie, but you don't really have an expertise in this particular area, so I'm going to go incline my ear this way, and vice versa. So I don't know. That's my vantage point on it.
But Chief, some men can be empathetic, and I personally think as a woman that if you have a problem with your husband, again, it's going to be dependent on your relationship. You got to go to the person. Because even with me speaking to my girlfriend and she going to give it to me straight, if she's really going to give it to me straight, the last tad bit better be you need to go talk to him. Because I'm not going to work that issue out with my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. It's going to have to be worked out between me and my husband, what's going on in this household.
Right.
And again, and I think we spoke about this before, if you want an amen crew, then you're going to go to that person that's going to give you all of that. Right. But if you really want somebody, like you said, number one, it lines up with the law and they're genuine, then yeah, you may have to listen to that. But it depends on the individual. You know what you want to hear. You know what you want to walk away with feeling and believing.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree. And again, all of these scenarios. These are like best case scenarios. These are like, we're all coming from an idealistic perspective, where it's like, okay, we're assuming that the man is operating in his highest potential, the woman is operating in her highest potential, and but unfortunately, especially nowadays, oftentimes that's not the case. Oftentimes the man is not operating in his potential; he's operating questionably, and the woman is operating questionably, and so that's the, I guess, I don't know if it's a fishbowl situation, but that's the reality of the times that we live in today. But idealistically, you know, you know, we're going to go wherever the wisdom is. Like Chief Shema said earlier, we're going to go wherever the wisdom is at. That's where we're going to go. Best case scenario, but that doesn't necessarily mean that wisdom can't be found. Let's say in the in the mouth of let's say the wife, for instance, being that that's what Vera Sharon brought up as far as with the order of the spouse. If there's wisdom there, and we know that historically, that the Hebrew woman is potentially a well of wisdom. So obviously, just from a scriptural standpoint, we know that it would be prudent for a man to incline his ear in the direction of wisdom. Oftentimes, that was on the side of the woman, of his spouse, or whatever the case would be. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that wisdom is almost always personified in the feminine. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Obviously you can incline towards to your wife, but at the same time, what I've seen also happen is that I don't think it's really a wisdom thing. I think there's also an element of hierarchy battle, that there's rabbit hole. Rabbit hole.
Chief Zabuli, may I take you down a rabbit hole really quick?
Uh-oh.
I noticed you said something earlier about if you need advice on carpentry, you're not going to go to a plumber.
Right.
What if the plumber have knowledge of carpentry?
Well, then that changes the scenario, obviously. But again, that's a kind of an anecdotal scenario. But so yes, in that sense, yeah, you can actually still get wisdom from them. But just generally speaking, and I think that most people are not jack of all trades. Most people are specialists.
Do you believe the saying when they say coaches don't play?
That what?
Coaches don't play.
Cultures do not play?
Coaches. Have you ever heard of that
saying?
Coaches.
Okay. Oh, no, absolutely. I've actually used it in a kind of varied way on a different platform that we were doing at one point in time. But yeah, give me the angle that you're coming from, because I don't want to assume that the way I use it is what you're talking about.
Meaning a coach can know all the plays on how to take their players to the championship, but they aren't necessarily on the field playing physically.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
And I mean, and I've even said it. I made the analogy. I think Chief Shema, he remembers this, where I was like that. The funny thing about coaches and players is that the greatest coaches were never good players.
Yeah.
And the best players don't make the best coaches. I mean, look at Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Right. Great player. As a coach, he was horrible. And then you take the greatest coaches like a Pat Riley or Phil Jackson, these kind of guys. But as players, they were mediocre at best. So that's how I was using it, in the sense that, that just because, you can give wisdom, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're an embodiment of it. It just means that you have some wisdom. That's how I kind of interpreted. I don't know if that's how you were interpreting it as well, but.
Okay. All right. Well, for those that are still tuning in, you are at YAH Conscious, soon to be called YAH Conscious Network. Well, if it's not YAH Conscious, it's not acceptable. Make sure that you have subscribed if you haven't yet. Make sure you share this platform, more specifically this particular show. Once it's over, once we end it, Share it on your Facebook. Like it, comment. I'm going to play the last song of the evening, and then we're going to close out. We appreciate you all tuning in. And please give us your thoughts as you listen to the sweet sound and music of. I'm going to play Zamir. I missed this song. This is a decent song, Mercy.
Yes, yeah. Said your greatness is forever. You're infinitely clever. Your mercy is my life. Without it, I would die. You get all of my reverence. You get all of my praise. When I just fell down, when I didn't have nothing left, I was broken deep within. Try my best to cover it, yeah. Abba, you give me strength. Abba, you give me strength, yeah, yeah. Said your mercy is forever. You're infinitely clever. Your mercy is my life. Without it, I would die. Said your mercy is forever. You're infinitely clever. Your mercy is my life. Without it, I would die. Said seal on this word. I said seal on this word. Think about your testimony. What he brought you through, what he brought you through. See, the fight is not given to the weak. Your affliction is supposed to make you strong. Represent it, don't you ever let it go. Hold on to it, it depends upon your soul. Said your mercy is forever. Your mercy is forever. You're infinitely clever. Your mercy is my life. Without it, I would die. Said your mercy is forever. You're infinitely clever. Your mercy is my life. Without it, I would die. I'll be up in my trust in you. I'll be up in my trust in you. I'll be up in my trust in you. I'll be up, yeah. Said your mercy is forever. It endureth forever. When I should have been dead, but you showed your mercy on me. And you poured your blessing on me. And you poured all your love on me. And you poured all your truth on me. And it set me free. Yeah. Your truth set me free. What would I be? What would I go? If I didn't have you, Abba, yeah.
All right. Y'all remember that? Anyway, that was Amelia Roan. Look him up on YouTube.
Kevin Hart.
Look him up on YouTube. Another R&B artist in the truth. But he does a lot of praise music as well. So check him out. We appreciated you. We hope that you enjoyed the platform, that you enjoyed the topics of this evening. Come back next Yom Hamashi next Thursday. 8 Eastern. I gotta say now. 8 Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right.
888.
Show respect. Show respect. You know what I'm saying? Show respect to the East Coast, bro.
Right. Hey.
Right. Shalom and salute. Love the show. Shalom. Pasak to all who observed and are observing. Keep up the powerful work. We appreciate you. Make sure you share it for us. I was about to say, por favor. Beba Kasha. Let people know about us, man. We're trying to grow. We got a lot more topics to help.
Shalom to our brother, man. That's a good brother, brother Isaiah, man.
Yeah, man. Love language.
Top of the line. Yeah, love language. Top of the line, brother, right there.
Hallelujah. Well, Yevarechem, Yahweh Yishmarechem. May the Most High bless and guard you all. And I'm going to say, Lechem Yah. Go with Yah. And you're going to say, Elechem Yah. Y'all ready? Lechem Yah.
Lechem Yah.
Oh, man. Toda Rabbi. All right, shalom, you all. Yeah.